Hi, welcome to Dimensions of Me, where we celebrate the individual, recognizing that we are all more than what you see. I'm Janet.
I'm Pauline.
And we are Dimensions of Me. I'm going to remind you quickly about Dimensions of Me. We have two different branches of our brand. We have our social mission, which is really to spread tolerance and acceptance and just be this force of positivity. And we do that through our daily posts on Facebook and Instagram. You could find our page there. We also have brand development, and that really incorporates our website. On our website, we have a store where we sell our Dimensions of Me products, and through our workshops. Pauline is going to take you quickly through our workshop.
So this is show number 3 at WCAT, and we just wanted to quickly remind you of our previous show, which we talked about our workshop, and one in particular that we conducted at WPI. We were invited to come and do our workshop with 100 young women, and it went extremely well. We were very pleased. We focused on self-confidence, positivity building exercises. We talked about positive versus negative words, how it impacted not only themselves, but also how others felt when they heard the words. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can contact us through our website, and we'll get back to you.
Great. So tonight we're really excited. We have a panel, and we're going to be discussing Dimensions of Me and what Dimensions of Me means to these 3 wonderful people who have volunteered to be a part of this tonight. I think at the end of our last show, we actually asked if people were interested to come in and celebrate someone or celebrate themselves or tell us a story. So we're fortunate to have these 3 individuals with Dimensions of Me tonight, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
My name is Chris. I'm from Burlington.
Hi, my name is Tom. I'm from Salem.
And I'm Kathy from Somerville.
Great. Thank you for being here.
Really excited to be here.
Oh,
Good.
thank you.
Yes.
We're going to take this, it's really going to be kind of a question and answer, but we're going to open it up. The idea really is to just have a flow of conversation. One of the first things I think I'll ask, and I'll ask Kathy first, is when you hear Dimensions of Me, what does that mean to you, or what does you think of, or how do you feel when you hear that?
When I first heard about it, it was one of those aha moments when I thought, in this world of not enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not enough, fill in the blank, that I'm more than what you see just resonated with me. I thought it was a great message, especially for the youth, to hear in a culture that doesn't really speak those terms. So it's a nice difference.
It's so true. That's interesting that you say that, actually, because I think in building our website, Pauline and I had the hardest time with coming up with what am I about? It's easy to say I'm not what I'm not. I'm not this, I'm not that. But to focus on what I am is really difficult, and I think you're right. People tend not to do that. How about Tom, when you hear Dimensions of Me?
I kind of look at it as a kind of a way of kind of encouraging people to be more introspective. I think that I find that in this busy time where where a lot of our connections are through social media, a lot of our connections are very superficial. I think that I have some good friends that I don't see very often, and I think it's when you're with them personally, you can kind of talk about your anxieties and your fears and what you're going through. But as I find, as we're working more hours, we're finding that the connections we make are just basically through social media with people that really aren't friends. They aren't really close to us. And so I think that Dimensions of Me kind of, says to the people out there, take a look at yourselves. Think about, what anxieties are you experiencing? What fears do you have? I think we kind of lost touch with that as we're not spending as much quality time with friends and family.
I think that's awesome, because that's going to make me emotional, because I think that's really, really great. Chris?
When I think of Dimensions of Me more than what you see, I think that sometimes we're caught up in the labels of society, labeling people. You're, you know, from a professional, you're a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a mother, you're a sister, but I felt that you had to dig deeper to find out, really explore what you, kind of what Tom said, like you look more introspective and say, you know, what are like my feelings and what are the qualities that I can, you know, share with the rest of the world.
That's really great. Thank you. Anything else on that? Or?
No, I agree. And when all of you're speaking, when we started on Dimensions, these were all of the things, the topics and the reservations about ourselves that we kept talking about. And when we would have to write something about ourselves, the negativity flowed. It was so easy to say, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. But when you had to throw something positive out about yourself, it almost felt like, am I being conceited? So it's a really good lesson for people to kind of, you know, look at themselves and not only how others see you, but how you see yourself.
And I think just relating this back to the workshop that we did with the college women, it was just there were 100 of them, and we were in an auditorium, and the whole mood of the auditorium changed so much because we had them each to write down something they didn't like about themselves and then something they did like about themselves 15 minutes later. And when they were talking about the negative things, it was just such a downer. Like everybody was, you could visibly see it, how suppressed everybody was, and just the positivity, just everybody was bouncing off the walls and really excited.
Yeah.
And
people were laughing and just like there was a happiness in the room when the whole positive stuff started coming.
And it just makes you feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you.
So you guys know we're on Facebook and Instagram, and we try and keep the content of Facebook and Instagram as original as possible. So we're just kind of curious, you know, when you go on, you know, do you see our posts? Do you follow us? And when you know, first thing in the morning, if you see a post on Facebook or Instagram, does it make you think differently about your day, or does it change your mood or your perspective? Chris?
I see the posts on Dimensions of Me on Facebook daily. And it's interesting you ask in the morning, because sometimes I do see it in the morning and sometimes I don't get to it till the evening. And so when I see them in the morning, it does kind of get my day started looking, you know, at the world a little differently. It might remind me to be a little kinder, be a little more thoughtful. And then at the end of the day, when I see them, I reflect on my day and say, you know, something might have happened that that it connected with. So I love that connection.
That's awesome. Tom?
Yes, I follow Dimensions of Me on Facebook, and I basically spend too much time on Facebook. But what I find is that actually I have a similar situation. A lot of times I'll see them in the morning because that's when I look at the post, and I'm at work, and I just got my cup of coffee, and I'm thinking about all the things that are going to anger me that day, and I find these posts kind of refreshing. They do kind of, in a sense, soothe me, and they kind of make me kind of take a step back and say, you know, maybe I shouldn't be as angry or frustrated or annoyed as I am. And I also really find that these posts are very succinct. It's like they just really say a lot with very few words, which is very powerful, I think.
That's actually good to hear, because, like I said, we try and keep it original, and some days it's difficult.
Right.
Because you want to kind of set yourself aside or apart from all these other Facebook pages. So it's good to get that feedback that it is resonating with you.
And I mean, I think, I'll let you answer as well, Kathy, but going into this whole development of Dimensions of Me, all we really wanted to do was get people thinking differently. And the whole idea of it was, you know, we both got so frustrated with the negativity that's thrown at you, and we just wanted people to stop and think and just be kinder and gentler and eat with yourselves. You know, everybody's so hard on themselves. Just be kinder and gentler to yourself and to the world around you. Kathy, what do you...
I would mimic that exactly. I love when I found the Instagram. Your messages, I agree, are just succinct. They're to the point, and it's almost like they fell from the sky and I was supposed to read it that moment. I try not to be on Facebook when I first wake up. That's a new thing. I used to like get up and check Facebook. I found that's really not a good idea. So I save Facebook for later, but the Instagram, I can go right to your site. It's nothing that's pushing at me like Facebook is. I can go on there, and it does change the trajectory of the day or the moment when I read it. So I enjoy those messages.
The other posts I like is when I see people celebrating other people. When you're,
I think
friends
those ones are some of the most important ones that I see on there. Because I think we've sometimes talked about if Dimensions has like impacted just one person, then we've been successful, whether we sell our products or not. If you can at some point sit down at the end of the day and say, I'm going to get emotional. That, that one person has, benefited from it, or they've passed that on to somebody else, then I think Dimensions has been successful.
I mean, that was the original idea, was that we were going to have product, we were going to have gift tags, which you can see right down on the purple shirt there. And it was really meant to be a gift item. That go onto our website, go onto our store, buy a product, gift it to someone that's going through a difficult time. So you have your husband's boss is beating up on him, and for a couple of weeks he's been really frustrated, and buy him a t-shirt and write on the little tag all of his positive qualities and remind him how much more he is, and just lift someone's day, make someone feel better, because there's not enough out there that does that and reminds you of your beautiful qualities. But it was also meant to gift to yourself. And, as Pauline said, our original content, we were hoping people would buy product, send us a picture in their t-shirt with their tote bag, and celebrate themselves. And just the most poignant, I guess, one that I can remember is a woman who was a 3-time cancer survivor, and she said, I'm a grandmother, I'm a mother, I am divorced, so I'm taking care of myself, and she's like, I don't think about what I am, she's like, I'm all of those things, and I don't ever think about inside, like, what do I like, what drives me. And she wrote this, she posted a picture, she bought a black t-shirt for herself and posted a picture and celebrated herself. It took her a long time. And she said, this was kind of painful to go through, but I'm so happy I did, because on the other end, I realized how strong I am and how brave I am and, how giving I am. And it was just it was a really beautiful post.
Yeah, and I think, again, when people buy the shirts and stuff and we say, post a picture, tell us something positive about yourself. I can't do that,
Yeah.
So again, it's, afraid to put yourself out there and, have people comment, because Facebook and Instagram can be like that something positive can turn negative very quickly when people comment.
And it is funny because people put themselves out there all the time in
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
But they can't. They could say something about themselves that's negative, but not positive.
Right. I know.
I think I was just going to say this is very important, because really the workplace has really, I think, beaten up on people way too much. I mean, I think people are working longer, they're being less appreciated, they're getting paid less. I mean, I hear people that are doing work on their vacation. I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, we've been seeing this going on, but I think now we're really seeing the detrimental effects that it's having. I don't really think people have me time. You ever heard that? Remember that expression that, I'm going to have my me time?
Right.
And that
I
used
don't
to be
see people
selfish.
having that. I really don't see that happening very often. I mean, I'm going from, I have multiple jobs right now, and so I'm like, I'm all the time, I am basically the sum of all these tasks that take place during the week, and they spill over into the weekend. So it's like, it's so hard to sit back and think, think about, what are my anxieties, what are my fears, what how do I want to really change my life, because I'm just so overwhelmed by
Right.
by the environment that I'm in. And but, I mean, it's partially my fault. I mean, you know, you got to make choices, but I guess people are just, you know, they're nervous about, you know, their economic security, and so they subject themselves to all this overload, I mean,
Yeah.
of work.
Yep. So this is a good segue into the next question, really, is, you know, in thinking about socially, in thinking about social media, the bombardment of negativity, body shaming, body image, young women, young men growing up thinking they have to fit into a mold. If you're not an athlete in high school, you're an outcast. And, you know, just even you feel it sometimes if you grow up in a big family and somebody's a star baseball player or a star theatrical person and you're not, you might feel that, you know, you're not as good. How do you feel that Dimensions of Me plays into kind of our social landscape right now? Chris.
I think it's very timely to have this sort of platform to for young children, young adults, and all of us really to just be more tolerant and accepting, and that we're all different, but we're all unique. And wouldn't it be a boring place if we weren't all unique and we all have something to offer? And I think it's important socially that young children, especially as they grow, both the ones that maybe are on the giving end of some, you know, the giving end of maybe not being so nice to somebody, and the ones that are on the receiving end, that they both can learn how to be kinder to each other and understand each other. So I think it's Dimensions of Me is very important and very timely to celebrate individuals.
I think too, as parents, for, you know, people who are parents, that you look at your kids and, you know, you're pushing the academics, you're pushing the sports, but we don't push just be a nice kid as much as we push all of that. And I think that's important, that at the end of the day, we want our kids to be kind and we want them to be generous and just caring towards other people. And we forget that along the way because we want them to, you know, be that star player on the football field or, you know, the highest GPA. And there's so much more things that are important to them and to us than that. And I think we really, you know, as people who have children, should also think about focusing on that.
I think what Dimensions of Me is what it says to people. It says, you know, find your own way. You know, you don't have to be the star athlete. You don't have to be the great guitar player. You know, spend time thinking about what you enjoy and where you see your life going, and kind of try to embrace that. And I mean, so I think that's the most important message, is that, you know, it kind of tells you, take a step back. You know, take a step back from all the chaos that's around you, and just, you know, kind of think, you know, what are things that interest me, that I want to spend more time on, and then, you know, try and construct a way to do that, you know. So that's...
And be confident enough if it's different than what other people are doing.
Yeah, I think I've been studying positive psychology, and I'm getting some certification in that, and so it's very timely, and it's this culture is starting to move. And if you think about how we grew up in this industrial society. You know, we all grew up in schools that were started because they were priming people to work in factories. That's why the bell rings, that's why you all sit, that's why you take in information and then regurgitate information and sit up and move to the next classroom. It doesn't work anymore because that's not what we're training kids and adults to do anymore. We're training people to think. So some of the psychology hasn't caught up to this. And there's different programs like Strength Finders, or I think it's called VIA Institute, where you can take this test and find out what your strengths are. And if you come from a place, even as a parent, and I wish I had this when my kids were younger, of a place where these are my gifts, and I know I'm really good at X, Y, and Z, but I know I'm not so hot in this over here. So I'm gonna organize my day around focusing on my strengths instead of looking at where I'm weak or coming from a weak place. And if we can start to shift that in organizations like this that allow people to just have that little paradigm shift where it's not about what I'm not, it's about what I am. And if I can come from that place, because as you said, Chris, we are all different and we all bring different gifts to the table. So we have to break out of that conforming mode. You know, we're not working in a factory anymore.
Yeah.
In fact, our school systems have to shake up a little bit, and we all know that. It's
Yeah,
just
that's really interesting.
how that's going to work. But this is very timely.
Something to think about. That's a really
Yeah.
interesting perspective. Thank you. Just quickly, could you maybe share something about yourself that we wouldn't know? Something quickly that might have shaped who you are today, or a unique talent or trait that you feel kind of sets you apart, or something, you know, that you've leaned on throughout the years to get you to this point. Tom.
I have no talents whatsoever.
Oh, we're going to have you fill out the straight
I have absolutely no talent whatsoever.
Particular trait or
Well,
turning point in your life?
well, I think one thing that people will say is that I get very anxious when I don't feel like I'm doing a good job. So even if I work at a tax office and it gets very chaotic and I kept apologizing for things that were going wrong, and my boss was saying, you don't have any reason to apologize, this is due to this, but I get very nervous and anxious, and I think it comes from, I grew up in an alcoholic family. My father was a very bad alcoholic, and I remember one time I was walking to school, and one of the neighbors said, and this was at a time my father was going to different houses begging for money so that he could drink.
Oh, wow.
So he had money to drink, and one of the neighbors said, you know, you're going to be just like your father.
Oh my
It
gosh.
said, this is like, I think it was like either in junior high or my first year in high school.
Wow.
And that kind of stuck with me, and it kind of scared me. And so I think in some ways, and I think my sister might have mentioned that, it's that you seem to be kind of obsessed with doing a good job and gaining respect and stuff like that. And I never really thought about it before, I guess. I didn't think about it at the time, but as I gotten older and we kind of reflect on the life that we had with our father, I kind of thought more and more that maybe this obsession that I have with doing well and trying to gain respect has something to do with that moment when, you know, when that person said that to me.
It's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very personal, and it's amazing to me the impact that words have on people. So if you were 12 to 14 years old, to have someone was not that significant in your life, probably, I'm guessing, a
No.
neighbor,
Yeah, just a
not
neighbor.
that significant in your life, say something to you and have that carry with you throughout your life and have such an impact. That's amazing to me. People need to think about what their words, what kind of impact their words have on people. Kathy, how about you?
I'm just like taking in that story. It really is a powerful thing to have that
That's
hang with you.
profoundly sad.
We grew up with, right, sticks and stones.
Some break
Might
my
break my
bones,
but names will never hurt me. And we think we've come to realize that
Names
do hurt and
Absolutely.
words
Yeah.
do hurt. And I think
Absolutely.
So
that-
true.
Well, particularly to a young kid,
Right.
because you know, I
Exactly.
wasn't,
Right.
Yeah, exactly,
you know, it was-
exactly.
Wow. Anything else on that question?
I mean, just quickly, I think one of the things I'm proud of is that, as it relates to dimensions of me, is really my own children, and just realizing that I try to listen to them about their own strengths and help them, guide them to what they want to do. And I'll just tell this quickly, as I laugh sometimes because my oldest son's an engineer. And my youngest son is studying comedy writing and performance. And my two daughters are in the middle. So they run the gamut. So I'm proud that each of them have, you know.
Do you think there was something in your life that made you as a parent say, I'm going to let them follow their hearts?
Actually, yes, and I didn't realize that till you said that. I had my high school.
Look at that.
I had my high school guidance counselor. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I had my high school guidance counselor in my senior year of high school say, "You don't want to be a teacher."
Huh.
Yep. I wanted to. Yep. I wanted to teach my whole
So
life.
did that like crush your spirits?
It
or?
did. He said, "You're not going to get a job." So it really made me think about, do I not want to be a teacher? And I didn't. But I felt that I've become a teacher in a different way, not in the traditional way.
Interesting.
I
Yes,
do feel I
yeah.
became a teacher, but not
Interesting.
traditionally.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anyone out there wants to share a story, you can go contact us on our website, www.dimensionsofme.com. And we're also building show number 4 here at WCAT. So if you're interested in joining us at the studio here, you can contact us again through our website. We'd like to thank Tom, Adam, Ryan here at WCAT for giving us this platform to spread our message of tolerance and acceptance, whether it's acceptance of yourself or acceptance of other people. Jen and I would just like to thank you all for tuning in, and hope to see you next time.
And what's your more?